So Titans, Season 2, Episode 12 gave fans exactly what they wanted. Or wait, did it? I mean, we got the Nightwing suit, but did we? Now, I can imagine that so many fans were pretty happy with this. What? Wait, what? It was revealed? Okay, Future Boba here, guys. Basically, I recorded this review, as you can tell, a few days ago. I record these in advance. But it turns out, despite me saying in this episode review that the Nightwing suit was given to Dick Grayson, but we didn't actually get to see it, it was officially revealed. So before anyone yells at me about the thumbnail, literally, this is official. They wanted you to see this before even episode 13. So I will be going over the actual amazing Nightwing suit pictures. So what I will do is talk about that at the end of this video. As you can tell, this video is going to be a long one. So what am I going to do for you guys? What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to timestamp it for you. So if you want to skip to that and maybe various other parts in the review, I will leave that on the screen maybe, or just in the top pinned comment so you can quickly navigate your way around. Look at this as a review and also a Nightwing breakdown, but also there's some slight news about season 3 as well. So this is a big video. Like there's a lot going on. So forgive me. I'm gonna go back to past Boba now and let him talk about what he thought about this episode from a few days back. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Well, in about 20 minutes. Enjoy the review. This episode packed so many more things than that, so today we're just going to get right into it. But just before we do, as usual everyone, just to show your support for the channel in this video, if you enjoy it, hit that like button. It only takes 2 seconds of your time. Subscribe for more Titans videos like this. I know we're going into the finale next week, but I'm going to be keeping you up to date on all things DC Universe anyway, so make sure you stay subscribed to the channel. Now also guys, I'm going to be doing a Q&A video before the finale where you can ask me anything to everything about what I think about Titans, what could happen in the finale. So head over to my community tab where I'll be making a post where you can submit your questions, and it should be up in the next couple of days from when you're seeing this video, as I'll be posting it before I see the finale. So I'll be answering as many of your questions, so pick my brain as much as you can going into the finale. Hopefully it will be up tomorrow or Sunday. So let's start with that beginning where we finally get to see that scene that I've wondered about after Jericho seemingly died. So as many of us have theorized for a while now, even before the sign language theory video I made from a couple of episodes back, in this moment we see that Jericho used his powers to jump into Slade to live on. Now I really liked how they then showed a present day Jericho talking to Slade in his mind space. We saw him there with these insane looking bloodshot eyes as well, which were kind of creepy up close. And it was great to see Jericho maintain that same stance against his father that he did 4 years ago, and that is to stop Slade, one way or another. Of course, in this scene as well, we had a typical Slade saying that he warned Grayson about starting up the Titans again, and that he's going after them now, and he even tries to justify hunting them down as a gift to Jericho. So for Slade, despite, as Bruce Wayne said in Dick Grayson's mind last episode, that Deathstroke is keeping prisoners, I truly believe he's doing what he feels is best for his son, but just like to the bitter end. But also at the same time, as Jericho said, you want to kill them because they exposed you and showed me who you really are. You are a monster and you need to be stopped. Now this line as well, I feel is pretty important because despite Jericho not being able to leave Slade through that little kind of mind portal that he was trying to enter or escape through, I really like how he's almost able to take control, which we saw through Slade almost getting hit by a truck after stepping out into the road. And now as I said, with that line and things like this that are being shown through the show from the beginning of the season, making me think that in this finale, Jericho will likely be crucial for Nightwing to deliver that final blow in defeating Deathstroke. But there's still a lot of questions that remain, like how will Jericho be saved, what happens to him afterwards, and what even happens to Slade. But now we briefly need to talk about Gar, because we didn't really see so much from him this episode. And is it just me, or does anyone else have a really bad feeling about where things could be heading for him because of this whole storyline? Seems almost like there's no turning back. So this was even more messed up this time round. It was a lot darker, and that's from where we saw where he went to that coffee shop, that same one we saw where Dick Grayson and Raven went at the beginning of this season, and he proceeds to literally maul everyone inside, or at least a lot of people, which is, man, poor Gar. Poor people, but Gar doesn't want to do any of this, obviously, because of it's just all down to the brainwashing. Now, the reason why I say I don't feel like things are going to be looking so great for him in the future is just because I have a bad feeling about a character write-off. Sure, they could fix him, but But even then, I'm not really sure Gar will be able to cope with the blood that he has spilled, despite it not being in his control. I mean, it just feels like they're setting him up for something that will end like very tragically. Of course, I hope I'm wrong about this. And then again, you could always, counterbalance this by saying he will get over it and it'll be something he has to carry with him and work through, and that's an interesting character aspect to add to him for a future season. Related to this, we had Dawn and Donna trying to find Gar after they left Rachel and Corey last episode, if you guys remember. I found this team up pretty awesome, actually. I mean, they went right into Walter Horn's house, if you will remember, who also works alongside Mercy Graves. I mean, actually, in fact, works for Mercy Graves now after Lex Luthor kind of gave her an even higher position over him. He actually revealed, thanks to Donna Troy's lasso of persuasion, that not only was this brain surgery on Gar, but also Connor. Like, that they also control both of them now, which was quite a revelation. I don't think I misunderstood that. Like he said, the brain salad surgery, whatever he said, and like, he also referenced that with Connor and that they control them both. So we haven't seen anything from Superboy yet ever since he got captured with Gar, but can you imagine a fully controlled Superboy? I mean, we thought Gar was dangerous in tiger form, but Connor would just be explosive. Yet again, I just don't see how this storyline for these two will resolve by the end of next episode. I mean, perhaps after beating Deathstroke from Nightwing, Hawk, Dove, Wonder Girl, Raven, and Starfire, this plot maybe will be left to pick up next season. Either way though, after Mercy Graves heard about Donna and Dawn's involvement in getting this information out of Walter Horn, she wants to move up to phase 2. So I'm thinking we're potentially having Blackfire next season as a main antagonist, and she could be also coupled with the continuation of this Cadmus Lab storyline. And this honestly wouldn't surprise me, as this season the antagonist was Deathstroke, but also alongside it with Superboy comes Cadmus. So it would make sense if we're getting another fill in the shoes of the antagonist of Deathstroke with Blackfire, and the continuation on this dangerous storyline coming from the shadows of Lex Luthor, and hopefully we get to see a low-key appearance next season as well. But now let's talk about what this episode title was even named after. Let's talk about good old Hawk, Hanky Hawky Hank. Hawk. Hank. So I really enjoyed this episode for Hank. I mean, it was pretty much the way I thought it would go. I also found it pretty hilarious how he put himself down as the undisputed leader of the Titans, and even the drums in the background of the Fight Club, I felt like it mimicked the Titans theme tune. Here's the interesting thing. If you guys know me and have been watching my videos since season 1, you will know that my favorite characters and duo on the show have been Hawk and Dove. But despite not totally being on board with Hank and Dawn's roles this season, as I just said, I enjoyed them a lot more in season 1, I still really root for them, even though, to be honest, I do feel like they pale in comparison to what they went with in season 1. Like, a lot of this season, as I've already articulated in other videos, feels a bit kind of one-dimensional of a story, and they don't even need to necessarily be there, and then they need to give them more purpose next season, but they're still low-key my favorite. Now, as a lover of vigilantes over super-powered heroes, seeing Hank kick ass in the cage was great, and once again, nothing to complain about with the Titans choreography. It's just all great. But unfortunately, the core of this story for Hank was that he sunk very low again, to the point of where he was getting so messed up that he even forgot that he sold his own suit just to score another, deal. And it turned out that the person he sold his suit to was running around as a fake Hawk. I mean, naturally, if you're buying that suit, I would put it on, but I wouldn't necessarily do what he was doing. Now, I think this was a nice wake-up call for Hank, especially with the lines that the kid said about how it was a privilege wearing the suit, and for the first time he knew who he really was and what he was supposed to do, and, Hank must feel like that every day, when in fact he probably feels the exact opposite. Hopefully this makes Hank realize that putting on the suit is a way he can be better, but it's a bit confusing to see clearly where this will go. And what I mean by that is some of the reasons as to why Hank didn't even want to be a vigilante anymore is because of the amount of pain and injuries he sustained from going out as one, and it resulted in him taking a lot of pain meds and getting addicted to pills and stuff like that. So if this episode is meant to serve as like a slow cook up to him wanting to be Hawk and Dove again, I mean, as we know from this season, and when she got caught going out, Dove is very game for being Hawk and Dove again. She would love to be like that, but Hank is the one who's been holding this back. If they do come back, are we just going to forget that he has a lot of physical struggle in doing this, or will it just be a case of that he goes out, doesn't use meds, and in doing so just won't get addicted? I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but on the bottom line, I would love for Hawk and Dove to actually want to be Hawk and Dove again. And recently on that note, Alan Ritchson actually implied that they are returning for season 3. So a little fun fact there, if you want to dig into that. There's not so much he said. He just said, like, he was asked about there's plans, la-di-da-da, and he like mentioned how that would unfold into season 3, so he just implied that Hawk and Dove will be coming back. Now, second to last, everyone, before we talk about Dick Grayson getting his suit, we of course have to talk about those Ravager flashbacks. Now, I 95% loved this, but if you watched my review for last week where we got up to that point where Rose said no to her father and screw you and all that good stuff, you should also remember me talking about what I thought we might see from this episode and what I didn't really want to see from the fallout of Rose leaving behind the life of working for her father, which was my worries with Jason acting the way he did. And for me, it was just all a bit too predictable, but I mean, I do get it at the same time. So we were introduced to these 3-year flashbacks, demonstrating Rose's ever-growing intrigue about why she never gets hurt. It turns out that Rose's mother was just a fling of Deathstroke's, but after initially ignoring Rose and treating her very bluntly because he thought it was best, it turned out that Slade had sunk even lower after he lost Jericho, despite him still being around in Slade's mind. And I say sunk low because he then recognized that because of Rose's unique abilities and, you know, as she's hard to kill, he sees potential in training her to become like a second coming of, you know, Deathstroke almost. Also, you could tell how much Rose just wanted to be a part of her father's life. I mean, fairly eager to be acknowledged by him, which just gives context as to why she signed up for what she began to do behind the Titan's back this season. The training was just like so savage as well. And one quick note, I am personally a really big fan of this Ravager suit. I mean, I get what some people are saying, it's very vibrant and stuff, but I think unanimously all of the Titan suits, these superhero suits are great. Titan's production and design here is just so on point. But back to that training, you could see all the surroundings that were in place to teach lessons, from the spiked floors, which if I remember correctly already had blood on them, which meant that Rose had likely fallen into, you know, you remember the floor bit where there was spikes everywhere like Indiana Jones style? It's more than likely she fell into there more than a couple of times, which is just crap, Rose. Like, you okay? And to be honest, this is very easily believable given that Slade has little to no sentimentality for his daughter. Up until the point where we had that scene where Slade, you know, blamed the Titans for murdering her brother, where she finds out she even has a brother and says to infiltrate them again kind of thing. I'm gonna cut out your eye, because you're too pretty anyway. But either way, there is a little twist on how, you know, in various situations, like she cuts her own eye out, but like this still kind of is the same thing. Like she agreed, you know, with how much she wants to be involved with her father to infiltrate the Titans, and to the extent where it looks like she really doesn't like her father because he let her cut her eye out. Like, that's pretty insane levels. It was pretty cool hearing that it was actually Ravager who broke out Dr. Light, so it was her who made very quick work of all of those prison guards. But where I took a little bit of issue, and this is just my opinion, and I know there's going to be plenty of people who justify and you know, even understand how Jason is feeling, and it's not that I don't, but I think that this take of mine comes from more of a place of this reaction being believable. But then again, in my reviews, I try to counterbalance everything, and maybe after everything Jason has been through, perhaps he was feeling too emotionally impulsive after hearing the news of this betrayal, if you will. So when seeing all of these scenes, it was really just Rose explaining the story from start to finish to Jason in that room, but it was pretty obvious and evident, given all the explaining Rose did, that she was being genuine and sincere in how she feels now. And I'm just, you know, tilting my head as to why it's that hard for Jason to understand her story. This went exactly as I feared it would, as I mentioned in my episode 11 review. After she opened up and became vulnerable and sincere to Jason, he got mad and stormed off. And it's just like a very typical TV drama thing to do. Whereas what I'm pointing out is that realistically, I think most people would somewhat understand and accept what Rose was saying in that moment, especially with, you know, all of the context she gave. I mean, as I said, I'm trying to understand Jason's side and why they wrote this for the episode, but it's just I feel like most people would hear her story and just be like, you know, you're a bit of a dick for doing that, but I really like you, I have feelings for you, and I can tell you're being genuine now. I get how you got to this position, so I'm not going to be like this. But I guess not everyone is that rational about things. I mean, I don't know. Let me know what you think there. So do you know what I mean? I don't know. Regardless, though, Curran Walters' acting in this scene, even though I don't necessarily agree with the story, was off the charts good. Like, he is very, very good. Also, we can't forget about that call from Deathstroke still offering to put their band back together, as the Titans are as well. I mean, so will Rose Rose take up the call after Jason just pushed her away. This is what I mean. Like, if you watch my episode 11 review, I basically called all of this out. Like, I was like, if this happens, Rose might be pushed away, then she might get guarded and be like, well, screw you, Titans, and then go back to him again. Even though I'm going to pose the question to you, do you think that she will band back up with her father again as he is gearing to take them all out? Like, this is all going to explode in the finale next episode? I don't think she necessarily will. Now, just a little bonus comment here. As for Jason saying F the Titans, F all of you, this could be why we didn't see the Robin name under the Curran Walters like plaque. You know, when they do a table read, you have like, I don't know, Minka Kelly playing Dove or Dawn, you know, that kind of thing. Under one of his Instagram stories a few weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer when they were doing it for the final couple of episodes, it said Curran Walters, Freebird. Now, Freebird or Freebirds is the code name for the Titans show, so you can just add 1+1 here, and that is like an alias for his new identity now. So I think this is just trying to more or less spell and point out that he's not really wanting to be a part of any of them anymore, but he's not quite Red Hood either. So it's interesting to see how they're going to develop Jason Todd's story and make new footsteps onto traditionalist Red Hood canon, which will of course heavily develop throughout the course of season 3. But you know, I'm just thinking they're probably not going to do the whole Joker crowbar thing. Like, as I said, they're going to be forging new steps onto super traditionalist canon, which isn't new for literally some of your most favorite superhero adaptations. So if you're going to freak out about that, I guarantee you one of the things you love has been changed up quite a bit. Now, as for Dick Grayson, I suppose I should mention Corey and Raven, but we barely saw anything from them. But I will say this episode, they gave up searching for Dick and, you know, went to search for Gar, as Raven intuitively knows that Dick will find his way back. I mean, their argument was funny as well, with insults such as Intergalactic Space Witch, but also they seem to be trickling along how that Starfire's powers are fizzling out, which, you know, I'm definitely keeping an eye on and may have something to do with Blackfire. But on to the main event, which so many of you have probably been waiting for in this long-ass review. So we got to see Dick Grayson visit Adeline again, and, you know, they both acknowledged Jericho's existence within Slade, which reminds me, a lot of people were asking what that additional sign language was in last week's episode on the TV, because that actually wasn't shown in that very scene a couple of episodes before that. All that we saw in that was when Deathstroke said "help me" when it was really Slade, but on that TV we got a little bit more where he kind of went like that. I believe on top of "help me" it also said "I forgive you," which, you know, is just even more feelsy that Jericho was trying to spell all of this out to Dick. So this is where Dick Grayson heads over to Stu's Handmade Shoes, which is a name and a half. I mean, if he's going to fight Deathstroke after all, he needs a new suit. And in this iteration of the DC universe in Titans, Bruce has a whole underground operation that acts as this like R&D, you know, research and development around the clock, working to improve his suit technology. So, you know, it's ever improving and evolving. But this is when they also reveal, after Dick asks for something new and something different, that Master Wayne said he would be coming and instructed them to put something together already, which is, I was like, oh, okay, like, he doesn't even get to, like, do his own modifications on it. I'm sure he will, maybe. But it seems that, you know, Bruce being Batman and Batman being Bruce already, like, knew all this stuff was going to go down, because he's just, yeah, he's Batman. And this is where the torture sets in, I'm sure, for many of you. Everyone but us saw it. And yet again, I have popped in here for Future Boba again. As I said at the beginning of this video, like literally, I was breaking this down when I was able to see this episode, and at that point, this Nightwing suit wasn't revealed. Like, it came out a couple of days later, which is last night for me, but a few days for past Boba, and essentially, yeah, wow. One thing I do want to say though is, like, I heard about this coming out before it actually came out, and I was kind of a bit not underwhelmed, but apprehensive and disappointed in a way, because I didn't want it to be revealed. It's like, well, if you didn't reveal it in this episode, I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, literally, it would have made more sense that if you really wanted to release it officially, you know, but before, like, I guess we get to see it, why not release it on the Thursday before the finale, since we'd be seeing it in that episode? It still doesn't make proper sense to me, because the Nightwing leaks were pretty crappy and blurred from a couple of months back, so they could have actually kept it to that final episode. But oddly, they officially revealed it. They didn't have much social media presence on it. DCU Titans page on Instagram only had it in their story, but either way, it just doesn't make a whole bunch of marketing sense and everything like that. But as much as I love DC Universe, their marketing, and I've always said this, and everyone else as well, it's kind of a weird one. Now guys, look at how amazing this is. Like, if you didn't already know, this is from Laura Jean Shannon, and the Instagram page for the Super Suits page. If you want to go check out this stuff for yourself on your Instagram or whatever, is LG Super Suits, all one word with a obviously @ symbol. It's just incredible. She's responsible for The Boys, Titans, Black Lightning, Doom Patrol, and Stargirl suits, and this I love it. I really do love it. It is bulkier than some people expected, but I don't really mind that. I know some iterations of the Nightwing suit seem really skin tight on Dick Grayson, which some people appreciate in certain areas. But you know what I mean. Like, I think Dick Grayson will look like a tank in this. Brenton Thwaites more accurately. Like, I can just almost see it. And hey, if you're wondering, wait, what would he look like in this Nightwing suit rather than just your imagination? Well, we actually have a photo thanks to TBU Josh on Twitter. I'll leave his info in the description down below. But he gave us a picture of him actually in the Nightwing suit alongside some concept art. I mean, I think that is concept art next to it as well. I mean, just like a real picture of Brenton's head on the suit. Being concept as well. But yeah, like, wow, like that. If you want to know what he's going to kind of look like in action against Deathstroke next week, that is what he looks like. And it's just absolutely, I have no complaints. I have no more wants. It's just great. And if you're wondering about the Eskrima sticks, they're going to be not on the top of his back. I believe they said it's going to be around the touche. Yeah, basically his ass. So it's going to be like hanging right back there. Greg Walker was there as well, the showrunner of Titans, and yeah, interesting things were said as well. He was asked about the Nightwing suit, if it was going to be originally used in season 1's finale, and like he said, no. But we kind of literally have proof of a leaked picture of all the Titans there with like a prototype Nightwing suit version 1. So it's like, Greg, what you on about, man? Now, other than that, everyone, a little bit of season 3 news. I believe it's being written in the next couple of weeks, which, you know, isn't really surprising. It'll be coming fall this year, so they're starting writing in the next couple of weeks. I believe filming will be starting around April. You know, this all just matches up to, like, you know, it's just season 1, season 2-ish, you know, time of when similar stuff was happening back then. But anyway, this is all this version of me has got to say, so I'm going to hand it back to the original version, and it'll probably just be like a normal outro to the video. So let's go. And to be honest, I don't really know what much more to say about that, other than I love that, you know, Bruce has this underground thing going on, and it makes sense for the Batman to do this. It's not exactly being helmed by Lucius Fox, but then you could argue Lucius Fox is tailoring other things for him somewhere else, and he has this other thing going on, which could be an extension of Lucius Fox's. We could talk about that forever. And as for this episode, I thought it was really good. Seriously, a really, really good episode. So obviously, at this point, I'm dying to hear your thoughts on this episode, and more importantly, at the same time as well, make sure you ask those questions on my community tab. Like this video if you did enjoy it, subscribe if you're brand new. I do have a Patreon if you want to support my channel a bit further. Follow me on Twitter to stay up to date with everything Titans. Join my Discord server. Check out my past couple of videos here, but I believe that is absolutely everything. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.